Hello，大家好，歡迎大家又再翻到嚟越洋買定離手啦。今集咧就會係講到關於杜拜嗰邊嘅賽事一啲嘅重心 win 同埋重心 Q 嘅 tips 啦。另外咧，我哋接住落去啦，都會係睇埋紐西蘭打吡嘅一啲 tips 嘅。咁首先啊，今次嘅杜拜 tips 裏面啦，重心場次就係由 Steve 同埋 Alistair 去提供 tips 俾大家嘅。
So now we are going to the best part of our show, and that is the best bets. And throughout the 9-race card, through World Pool, so you're going to be in Hong Kong's pool and everybody else as well. Alistair, who is your best bet on the card?
Race 2, number 7, Hukum. Deep draw, but absolutely loves his distance. Jim Kramer on Thursday night at Maidan as well. Also, of consistency. He's a 7-time winner from 12 starts. I don't think he'll be in need of the run. He stands out in the second race.
Steve, who is your best bet on the Super Saturday card?
I went to a competitive race number 4. Went for Ben Doog, drawn 2 and number 2. Tygo Shea on board, looking for winners, of course. It's very close in the jockey's title between himself and Antonio Fresu. He was a very impressive winner on debut. Only Sari Dubai could keep tabs on him. And he had Withering a long way behind, back in third. And Withering did his bit for the form next time with a very nice success over course and distance. So I'm hoping Ben Doog can. He was maybe went off a bit fast last time over when he was back and forth, but it was still a respectable run. And he's got a lot of factors in his favour this time. He's drawn nicely in gate 2. He's got nice gate speed. It's a very open race. I think Secret Image is interesting under William Buick from 1. And Violent Justice, an interesting horse. But he's got first time headgear. Didn't travel very well last time, I don't think. Pat Dobbs on board, and Pat Dobbs sticking with him. And Sab Hitchcock on Sari Dubai, who's an interesting maiden. And I think Withering will get closer this time to Ben Doog. But Ben Doog's my best bet for the day.
總結翻啊，重心嘅獨贏 Steve 就揀到第5場嘅2號馬奔蕩，至於 Alistair 就係揀到第2場7號嘅命令。
So now we're going to have the big quinella pool. So we do have a best quinella for you throughout the card. And Alistair, it is 4 horses that you think will finish in the top 2 in any order. And which race would that be?
Okay, so I'm going to the 9th race, the race that we've previewed. Thank you for giving me 4 horses. Dare I say, I quite like the chance. 9th race, 1 Al Tariq, 2 Canvas, 6 Freedom Fighter, and then I will go with number 9 Positivity as my 4th selection. In no particular order, like you said, so thanks to free spin. So race 9, 1, 2, 6, and 9.
Yeah, and we don't have the odds yet. So once we get the odds out, I'm sure that if any of those 4 get in, you're going to get a good payout for the big world pool in Hong Kong and also everywhere else in the world. And Steve, who is your quinella, your best quinella throughout the card?
I just went back to the best bets. I had Ben Doog. Actually, if we're going in race card order, Quality Boon, number 1, Ben Doog, number 2, and then no, I've got that wrong, haven't I? Hang on. Quality Boon, number 1, Ben Doog, number 2, and Quality Humor, which is number 8, and then Secret Image, number 10. 2 qualities there, confuse me.
Yeah, one of the ones you have is a $61 chance in Australia. So if that one happens to come in along with anything, I think it's going to pay really well, and I think we'll be okay there. So that was our preview of Super Saturday. I appreciate everybody's time and their time looking at the form and trying to get us some winners. We did have a really nice day at Happy Valley the other day, so we're going to have a shotted preview as well. And guys, thank you again. I appreciate it, Alistair, for coming on. I know it's such late notice, and I know it's late over there, but we're really looking forward to seeing you calling the races, and then also the Dubai World Cup. So that is another World Pool meeting. So we're really looking forward to that as well. So everybody, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the preview. Don't forget to like and to subscribe, and have a good night.
好啦，去到重心嘅連贏位啊 ，Steve 就中意第5場嘅4匹馬，包括係1號嘅優質紳士、2號奔蕩、8號佳翠同埋10號嘅秘影。至於 Alistair 就係揀到尾場第9場1號嘅十拿九穩、2號拉票、6號戰位自由同埋9號嘅向好。好啦，咁呢個時候咧，我哋接住落嚟啦，都可以睇埋紐西蘭打吡嘅一啲資料啊。今次邀請到嘅嘉賓呢，就係嚟自紐西蘭嘅賽馬專家 Jason Tan 同我傾下偈嘅。Hello everyone, welcome to the special edition of the Beer Garden. We are going to talk about the New Zealand Derby as we in Hong Kong will watch this Group 1 on Saturday. I'm happy to have Jason Tan on our show today. He is a racing expert in New Zealand. Thanks for your time today, Jason. How are you?
Absolute pleasure, Charene. Really well, thank you. Looking forward to the Vodafone New Zealand Derby coming up on Saturday, and great that.
Yes, absolutely. And it will be quite a busy weekend for all the racing fans. We in Hong Kong will watch the New Zealand Derby in the afternoon. In Hong Kong time, it will be 12:10 in the PM, and I think it will be 5:10 PM in New Zealand time. And it is the first time in recent years that Hong Kong will simulcast this iconic Group 1. So how special is it, Jason? Can you tell us why New Zealand Derby is worth to watch?
New Zealand Derby is one of the best races on the calendar here. It's for 3-year-olds instead of 4-year-olds. The Hong Kong Derby, obviously, for 4-year-olds. But in New Zealand, it's like many other parts of the world. It's a race for 3-year-olds, and it's a race for colts, geldings, and fillies. So as long as you're 3, according to Southern Hemisphere breeding time, we very rarely have any Northern Hemisphere bred 3-year-olds compete at the Derby, then you're eligible. So it is very much like the Hong Kong Derby. It's once in a lifetime. The classiest 3-year-olds generally get given their opportunity to try and race over 1.5 miles or 2,400 metres. And we see horses that perform well in the New Zealand Derby particularly go to Australia and have success over the Sydney Autumn Carnival, and your followers will be able to bet via the Hong Kong Jockey Club when they take the Sydney racing as a part of the World Pool betting. So keep an eye out for some of the horses that might head there. Mongolian Khan, a very famous horse that won the New Zealand Derby and had success there during the Sydney Autumn, as well as Ginger Nuts. Didn't win the Derby, Ginger Nuts, over in Australia, but won one of the lead-up races at the Rosehill Guineas. Last year's New Zealand Derby winner is hoping to compete in this year's Hong Kong Derby, is on track. I speak of a horse called Rocket Spade. Now, he was 9th in the Classic Cup, was an okay run. Probably would have wanted to have seen a little bit more from him, but 2,000 metres of the Hong Kong Derby will be perfect for him. He was ridden beautifully last year to win the New Zealand Derby. It was a ground-saving ride. It was a very patient ride, and he got it done. But with that same sort of patient ride in the Hong Kong Derby, he might be able to get closer to them than he did in the Classic Cup. But yes, Charene, a very special race, the New Zealand Derby. It's an iconic race, and the very best 3-year-olds generally compete in it.
Yeah, definitely. We are all very looking forward to this big race. And we always have the impression that usually the track condition in New Zealand will be softer than Hong Kong. So Jason, can you tell us more about how's the weather and the track in New Zealand?
The weather is amazing. It's been amazing at this time of the year. Often this meeting, there can be a little bit of rain around it. For example, last year, the track was slow for Rocket Spade. It can often be dead. But this year, the track curators at Ellerslie have been watering the track leading into race day, and they will water the track to a New Zealand dead 4 for the morning of the races, and it'll probably improve to between a dead 4 and a good 3 come Derby time. The weather is expected to be fine, and it will be warm enough. So come Derby time, I will have no dramas saying that the track will be a fair racing surface, and between a good 3 and a dead 4. So ideal for thoroughbred racing.
Yeah, right. That's cool. And I appreciate that, Jason. And I think that now the Hong Kong racing fans now know more about the Alistair racecourse. So in this year's New Zealand Derby, there are 13 contenders. So talking about your selections, Jason, can you pick 4 horses for quinella?
Yeah, surely can. I think the horse to beat is the only filly in the race. So you said 13 horses. Only one of them is a filly, and that's Le Creek. She will start a pretty warmly backed favourite, I'd expect, and I would think that she will be odds on close, certainly in my market that I make I've marked her odds on. She was excellent winning the Avondale Guineas, the lead-up race for it. She won that by 4 lengths. She showed good tactical speed to take a position early, and then she relaxed during the running, and then she showed a turn of foot. So she really showed herself to be nearly bulletproof when it comes to being able to be suited to the Derby and the 2,400 metres. She's drawn the inside, barrier 1 for the Derby, which, often when there's a full field of 18, the runners can rush across and it can be a really tricky spot. But at this Derby, she has some speed and there's not a great deal of pressure on her immediate outside. So jockey Vinnie Colgan should be able to get it out and, if not lead, be able to manoeuvre how he wants to get her an ideal run, one off or trailing in the one out, one back sort of position. So really, La Creek looks very, very hard to beat, and I think she is a worthy favourite for the race. There are a couple of other horses that should run well. One of them is Pinarello. Pinarello won a lead-up race on the same day that La Creek won the Avondale Guineas. He was particularly impressive. He rated a couple of lengths inferior, 4 lengths actually, inferior to her, but with some weight adjustments, I sort of had that about a 2-length inferior performance. I think the issue for him is he only had 4 starts. And so generally over the last 10 years, Charene, Derby winners have had at least 6 starts before they've gone on to win the Derby. No horse has had fewer than 6 starts. And the average number of starters of a Derby winner before the Derby is about 8, just under 8. So the fact that he's had 4, you have to be a very special horse to have that level of experience and miles in your legs and to be able to win it. So that's one negative against Pinarello. The positive is he's trained or co-trained by Roger James, who's won the Derby 5 times. So he knows exactly what it takes, the type of horse and how to prepare them for the Derby. So that's a positive. And I think that can help him overcome his experience. But another flip side to that is that Vinnie Colgan was riding Pinarello and he's chosen to ride La Creek because the regular rider of La Creek was suspended when he won the Avondale Guineas on her, Craig Grills. So there are a few moving parts, but certainly La Creek number 1, Pinarello number 2. I think another really good chance for Quinella's is a horse called White Noise. He finished just in behind, well, he got beaten 4 lengths by La Creek in the Avondale Guineas, and just in behind second and third by small margins. There wasn't much separating him, Marchand, and RJ's Flight, but he got further back in the running. And I think out of those 3, he's going to be the best suited to 2,400 metres. Murray Baker co-trains White Noise, and he's actually part owned in Hong Kong. Matthew Fenwick, who works in Hong Kong, owns a share, and obviously he has some family in New Zealand as well. So there's going to be some interest in Hong Kong around White Noise, and he's drawn to take closer order in running than he did in the Avondale Guineas. And I think he's a better stayer than the horses that just beat him home in that same race. So he's a horse that I definitely want to include in Quinella's. And one other horse, Charene, is a horse called Tutukaka. Is trained by Tony Pike, who is a brilliant horseman and has trained Derby winners and Group 1 races here and in Australia. He's very, very good, Tony, but this horse is just so inconsistent. I would say that enigmatic is a way to describe him, which is sort of, he's up and down. Sometimes he performs and sometimes he doesn't. Just trying to think of a horse in Hong Kong that's sort of similar. But he was pretty poor last start. The start before that in the Karaka Million 3-year-old Classic, he was excellent. He just missed winning that race. And before that, he was terrible as well. So I think the key for him will be for rider Michael McNabb to really be aggressive and ride him positively over the first 400 metres, get his mind on the job, and then have him travel in maybe the first 3 or 4, maybe even a bit closer than that. And he will stay as well as most if his mind is on the job. Predicting whether it will be is the trick. But you might get a nice little price to add into a Quinella if his mind is on the job, as he showed 2 starts ago.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic, Jason. Thank you very much for your time today. And I think that the New Zealand Derby is definitely worth to watch. And maybe some of the contenders will have a chance to race in Hong Kong in the next year, maybe aiming for the next year's the 4-year-old Classic Series. So let's enjoy the big race on Saturday. Thank you again, Jason, and see you next time.
Pleasure, Charene. All the best to you and your viewers.
Thank you. Bye bye. 好啦，咁喺度同大家都總結埋 Jason 喺紐西蘭打吡嘅一啲選擇啊，佢係最睇好一對馬嘅13號嘅荔灣同埋7號嘅頂班選擇。如果大家買 Q 咧，都可以加入埋2號嘅白醋星威同埋1號嘅明岸勝景。今次都多謝大家收睇1連3集嘅越洋買定離手啊！正如頭先所講啦，禮拜6將會有好多節目啊。下晝睇完紐西蘭打吡之後咧，夜晚都可以欣賞杜拜超級星期六嘅賽事。咁我今次啦都喺星島嗰度啦有寫到自己嘅重心場次嘅提供啦。至於去到禮拜6啦跑馬嘅時候啦，我就將會喺商台嘅 AM864頻道嗰度啦，同大家做翻個即場旁述嘅。下晝同埋夜晚都見到都會聽到我噶啦。到時同大家一齊中馬一齊贏多啲啦，拜拜。